Hello everyone, my name is Owais. I am a financial risk management professional working in the UAE. And in this video, we'll talk about 3-step strategies that you can follow to get a job in the UAE. Now, of course, I'm not an HR expert. This is something that I have experienced over the years, and this is something I'll be sharing with you as well. So the 3-step strategy include: 1, knowing the local environment; number 2, polishing your CV and your LinkedIn profile; and number 3 is to apply for the job. So let's dive in. Bismillah. So the first thing, which is very critical, is to know about the local regulations, the local practices that we have. So if you are targeting the UAE market, you should know what are the requirements like in the UAE market. For example, if you are a risk analyst working in Pakistan or India, you will have your own regulations that will abide by the central banks. And those regulations, those requirements will be different for the UAE or any other Middle Eastern market. Now, the first thing that you'll have to do is to know what are the practices which are being followed in your interested location. For example, if you are targeting the UAE market, you should know what are the requirements like. For example, Basel 3 is being followed in the risk management sector in the UAE. UAE has its own set of regulations. All of these regulations are available on the CBUAE website. I'll just share a link in the description as well. We call it CBUAE, Central Bank of UAE Rulebook. So the question is, how do you exactly do that? So once you know that you are targeting the UAE market, what you will do is you will start researching the job profiles, job advertisement that you are looking for. So for example, if you are looking for a risk analyst position, the first thing that you will do before doing anything, before going to a CV or the LinkedIn profile or the applying to the job, what you will do is you will start assessing the job requirement that we have in that particular region. So for example, you go to the Naukri Gulf or any other job posting website, and you start just skimming through the job requirements that you have. For example, if you are looking for a risk analyst position, you go to such job description and you see that there's a requirement for understanding of the regulation, the Basel 3 or capital standard regulation in that particular sector. So one thing. The second thing is that if you are into the data side, the risk analyst position may require some data analytics tools, some data analysis skills. So if there is a requirement for the programming and you don't have the programming skill with you, you will go and you will start learning it. So the idea is that, 1, knowing the local environment, knowing the local regulations, the local job description that we have, and then you start attaining those skills. So I started my career with PwC, and most of the assignments included a gap analysis. So in the first step, what you have to do is you have to do a gap analysis in where you stand currently and where you want to be. So for example, there are 5 skills that you may come across through this scrutinization analysis of the job description. You add those up. For example, there is a requirement for the regulatory requirement. There is a requirement for learning programming skills. There is a requirement for polishing your communication skills. So you identify those skills and you spend some time, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. Of course, I'm not saying that you stop applying for the job, for the actual jobs, but what you have to do is to start filling that gap so that you can meet the requirement that is there for this particular market. So summarizing it: 1, do the gap analysis, make a list of skills which are there, which you have to attain to meet the profile that you are looking for. And number thing, once you do that, you learn those skills, you fill the gap, and then you move on to the next step, which is number 2, updating your resume and LinkedIn profile. So now in the first step, what you have done is you have learned whatever there is to about the UAE market. Now you know the regulations, you know the programming skills, you have that communication skills, you have that sort of expertise. Now you are ready to build on that. And once you are ready for that, the thing that you will be showing to the recruiter is through, 1, your resume, and the second is your LinkedIn profile. And this is where all the efforts come in. So you have to reflect those skills into your resume, into your LinkedIn profile. Now, one key step here that you have to follow is that your resume, your CV should be customized. So if you are applying for 10 jobs, you will have to go through that sort of job description and then customize your CV according to those job description and then apply for it. Now, it's easier said than done. Of course, what you can do is you can identify 5 areas. For example, if there's a risk analyst position, there is a data analytics position, there's a position for IFRS 9 modeling, there is a position for financial analyst. So these are the four broad job description that you're looking for. So what you can do is you can list those things, you can identify the skills that you have, you require for these positions, and then build 4 different versions of your resume and then start applying accordingly. Of course, when there is a specific requirement that you need to highlight in your resume, do that. The similar thing that you have to do is for your LinkedIn profile. Now, LinkedIn profile, you cannot customize it. So you will have to make sure 5 areas that you are targeting, and then you will have to reflect those areas in your LinkedIn profile. So in your LinkedIn profile, of course, the bio matters a lot. The keywords that you mention under your profile picture. The LinkedIn profile matters a lot, so you will have to keep it short, you will have to keep it concise, and you'll have to show what you have. And of course, this LinkedIn profile will be aligned with the skills that you attain or the skills that you identified after the gap analysis that you performed in stage 1. Now, in the experience, of course, you will have to show what you have done, but you'll also have to somehow reflect the requirement that you have for the UAE market. So for example, if you're working in a bank which is in Pakistan, but it has an office in the UAE, so somehow if you can get that experience of working for the UAE market, I know a lot of people who are working in Pakistan, but they have some sort of exposure in the UAE market. They are required to meet some regulatory requirement of the Central Bank of UAE. So if you can do that, that would be amazing. You can say that you are still sitting in Pakistan, but you have some experience of meeting those regulatory requirements in the UAE market, and that would add a lot of value. So the second step, polish your resume, polish your LinkedIn profile. One pro tip that I want to do is that there are professionals who are actually experts in the CV and resume writing. Of course, I'm not one of them, but if you can find them and if you can invest a bit of money that goes there, that can help a lot. It would assist you in getting better in your resume, in your LinkedIn profile. So if you are targeting this market, there's a lot of competition, and you should actually avoid some basic mistake that we make. So one way of doing it is to hire a resume or LinkedIn profile expert and take his advice. Now, once you have done the gap analysis, you have polished your resume, your LinkedIn profile, now is the time to start applying. So when you start applying to the jobs, there are a number of factors, there are a number of approaches that you'll have to follow. So the first thing, and probably the most effective one, is through LinkedIn profile. Now you have polished your LinkedIn profile. Now what you have to do is you have to increase your visibility. So start posting on LinkedIn, start posting about your risk expertise, about expertise in the financial analysis, whatever your target is. If you are into finance or into investment or into risk management, whatever your domain is, start talking about it, start posting about regulations that you have, and try to showcase your skills on the LinkedIn profile, on the LinkedIn platform. So if you are a financial modeler, start showing some demo financial models that you may have, and that will build some rapport, that will build some visibility. And once you start doing that, of course, you can start following up and getting connected to the recruiter or to the industry professionals who are working in this domain, who are working in your field, and then you can approach them. Of course, there's a whole world when it comes to building a LinkedIn profile, approaching them. I'll surely make some videos about that as well. But the first platform that you have to do is through LinkedIn. The second platform is via company's website. So if you are targeting banking sector, you can go to the banks, you can go to the career website, career section, and then identify the jobs that are relevant to you and then apply through it. And of course, when you apply through it, for example, there is a vacancy in XYZ bank, you can find the people who are working in that particular bank on the LinkedIn, and then you may try approaching them. Of course, the approach that you make has to be professional. It has to be within the defined moral and ethical guidelines. You just don't spam them and follow all sort of things. But what you can do is, the second source that we have is via company's own profile. The third thing is that there are a number of websites, a number of job portals that we have. I'll mention the list in the description as well. You can follow them. Naukri Girl is there, and there are a number of other job websites that we have that you may follow. And the last and the most critical one is via your network. So if you study in a particular university, try identifying the people who are currently working in the UAE and start approaching them. If you are working in a big four, or you have worked in a big four, those people, those ex-colleagues would be working in the UAE region, so you may reach them out and ask them for any opening that they might have. This is something that is probably the most critical aspects, and as it is said, that your network is your net worth, and network plays a significant role in getting your job in the Middle East or in the UAE market. So if you follow these 3 steps, I'm pretty hopeful that you will be able to find a job in the UAE market. Now, there's one thing in the closing, is that UAE market is very competitive. It's a very competitive market. You just don't have people coming from the Pakistan or India, the Bangladesh, but people from all over the world are targeting jobs in this region, in this country. So you have people, for example, the Europeans are interested in getting a job in UAE and get the rich tax-free salary. So the competition is high, the influx is a lot, and the competition is off the mark. So you'll have to be at your best in your job search. Stay patient, keep applying, and hopefully you'll be able to find your dream job. If you have any other suggestions with regard to finding job in the UAE, please feel free to comment. This is Owais signing off. Thank you.